'cause of you fools. We've been dancing with the devil way too long. I know it's fun, but get ready to pay your dues. Oh God, come back home. This crazy world is filled with liars and abusers. We need you now before we're too far gone. I hope one day they finally see the truth. God, we need you now.
Oh, say, can you see by the dawn's early light? Oh, so proudly we hailed at the twilight's last gleaming, whose broad stripes and bright stars through the perilous fight. Oh, the ramparts we walked were so gallantly streaming, and the rockets regular of Osborne singing up, yeah, through the night that our flag was still there. Oh, say, does that star-spangled banner yet wave? Oh, the land of the free and the home of the
When that anthem is sung like it was just sung, I get choked up. Of course, because I always get choked up. It's just what I do. But when that song is sung as it's supposed to be sung, wow, it's pretty awesome. And I agree. Who said that? Laura Love said that. Best ever anthem singer. Yeah, I think that's the best I've ever heard of that being sung before a game. Beautiful. Not just the melody, but of course the words, right? It all means so much. It means freedom. And we count on our big brother to the south of us to look after shit, and they're not. And they're in a lot of trouble. We're in a lot of trouble. We're all in a lot of trouble. So the people have to come together. And one of the reasons we're in a lot of trouble is oh God, I can't believe this. I'm going to show you a video of a communist globalist cuck counselor out of Edmonton. Andrew Knack, I think is his name, if I'm not mistaken. Check this guy out.
What is a 15-minute city? It's something that's so convenient. Everything is going to be within 15 minutes of you. You're not going to have to worry about traffic because people won't need a car. And when we say 15 minutes, we mean a 15-minute walk, not a 15-minute drive. We want you to live in an area, a district, where everything that you need is a 1.5 kilometer walk in every direction.
Of course, his sunglasses match his toque, because that's always important, I guess. Oh, we're in big trouble, and our city council in Saskatoon is no better than that joker that was just on a video. We want you in a district. We want you to be able to only walk to whatever it is you need. What about the people that can't walk? What about the people that are old? What about those people? Can they not drive anywhere without getting a fine? People like this guy that we just listened to, we need to get rid of them. Let me rephrase that. We do need to get rid of them through elections. We need to get active in our city halls, in our city elections, in civic politics. We need to get active. We need to take over these city halls so this insanity doesn't continue. And we need a whole bunch of people to get out to your municipal elections and scrutinize what's going on with electronic voting machines and make sure that there isn't any funny business. And if there is, we have to prove it. We have to come with evidence, and we have to find that evidence. We have to get involved. There's no other way around this. We have to get rid of these people from city councils, from provincial governments, from the federal level. We need to get rid of them. We need good people to stand up and represent and defend our values. That's what we need. Speaking of which, I'm looking forward to tonight's show. We're going to have Tajana on. She's going to join us in about 7 minutes. She's a real firecracker. I really like her. She's doing well. She's got a good following on TikTok and other social media. But there's another video I want to show you really quick. Another firecracker. And she's absolutely amazing in this rant. Tiana's going to join us at about 7:30. Oh, and by the way, we have released episodes 2, 3, and 4 as part of our 17-part series discussing all of the SDGs. You can check that out. It's over at Acres of Truth on YouTube, Acres of Truth on Rumble, acresoftruth.com. It's all there. And share it out. Share it to people that, aren't necessarily paying attention, that aren't necessarily awakened to what's happening. it's important. Anyways, I want you guys to check out this firecracker. This is Lauren Boebert completely destroying a couple of Twitter douchebags. Fantastic little video here.
Is considered an aggressive visibility filter. You silenced members of Congress from communicating with their constituents. You silenced me from communicating with the American people over a freaking joke. Now, who the hell do you think that you are? Election interference? Yeah, I would say that was taking place because of you four sitting here. The Hunter Biden laptop story was suppressed. A sitting member of Congress was suppressed. A sitting president was banned from Twitter. You know, I bet that Putin is sitting in the Kremlin wishing he had as much election interference as you four here today. We've heard about threats to democracy. Well, what about shutting down a duly elected member of Congress? This is fundamental to our nation's governance, and you all attacked that very foundation. 230 protections? Well, those are for publishers, not for editors. And it's clear you were not acting as publishers, you were acting as editors. And Mr. Chairman, I think it's far past time that we remove 230 protections for big tech platforms who are abusing this protection. And let me just say, I'm not angry for myself. I'm not angry because I was silenced. I can reach out to Elon and to his staff, and I can see what's happened. And I can sit here today and hold you all in account. I am angry for the millions of Americans who were silenced because of your decisions, because of your actions, because of your collusion with the federal government. They can't reach out to Elon. They can't sit here today and hold you into account. We don't know where the FBI ends and Twitter begins. But I do want to thank
Mr.
Elon
Chairman, we're over
Musk for
17
firing
seconds.
you four and saving free speech and even Twitter. Mr. Chairman, I yield. Is considered an aggressive visibility filter.
Yeah, she's a firecracker. She's good. She hammered him pretty good. Now, hopefully something comes of it. Ben asked a good question. Please explain how we prove impropriety in the Dominion voting machines. We surely must know the elections have been stolen, but proving it is another whole story. So, as a scrutineer, as you know, as somebody that is allowed when you join a campaign team as a scrutineer, you can watch as the ballots are being counted, and you can demand that you watch them and you see them, and if what goes into the electronic voting machine isn't what comes out, then that's it. Then you raise the flag. We have to do this. We have to watch. We have to scrutinize all elements of our elections because, as you all know and I know, even federally, even though we don't use Dominion voting machines federally, something wrong is going on. They didn't count 250,000 ballots last election. Why? I believe there's lots of ballot stuffing going on, and we need people to get involved. We need people to scrutinize, and I mean actively scrutinizing. Listen, communists will do whatever they need to do to get power. They'll cheat, they'll defraud, they'll lie, they'll steal, they'll do whatever it takes to get in so they can destroy everything we've built. That's what communists want. So, but yeah, so good question. Thanks for that. Who was that? Ben. Thanks, Ben. Yeah. So we're going to talk a little bit about 15-minute cities with our good friend Tajana. Hopefully she shows up on time tonight. That would be good. Let me just make sure. Okay, hopefully she'll be here. What else? What else can I show you? Yeah, I can show you that. Never been more true. While we're waiting for Tajana, we can probably go through a couple of these things. So, digital ID. It is 100% related to the Sustainable Development Agenda, the Sustainable Development Goals, the SDGs. Of course, you know, we have people like the truck driver pleb who thinks that nobody cares. Well, they don't care. Not enough people care about that agenda, Agenda 2030, because no politician has ever talked about it. And they have to understand that if, as he says, they only care about inflation and the economy and the cost of living, well, that's all associated to the Sustainable Development Agenda. All of these things are 100% related to this agenda. It's just the way it is. And people need to start wrapping their head around that. If you want to go, just go to my Twitter and you can pull those off of there. I put it on Facebook too. Yeah, remember when this was labeled a conspiracy theory by the same people that agreed to this agenda on your behalf, ceding our nation's sovereignty to an unelected, unaccountable foreign entity? By the way, that was the Conservative Party who signed us up to this agenda, made it law in 2008. Well, just check it out. This is at the bottom of one of their pages. UN in action. The UN SDG has a strengthened coordination system that works at a country, regional, and global level. Yeah, we're not under global governance at all. Explore and easily find UN SDG publications. UN teams are now better enabled to support countries to achieve the 2030 Agenda for Sustainable Development. I can remember when this was a conspiracy theory, and there's a lot of people that still think it is a conspiracy theory, and it absolutely is not. Yeah, absolutely harmful if swallowed. Okay, Deanna's late again. I'm just going to tell her to hurry. I recommend watching this as well. Well, I mean, why not?
I watch with, what is the emotion? Fascination, horror, disbelief, a cocktail of all three and more besides. The ways in which our so-called leaders are just running faster and faster at the moment. What it makes me think of is supermarket sweep. You know that thing where, you know, you see it on the television sometimes where contestants, you know, they answer some questions and they get the chance to run up and down the supermarket aisles bagging as much booty and loot as they can in a 60-second period or something. Well, it feels like our leaders are at that at the moment. You know, they are running faster and faster, trying to grab every last item of value from our civilization before time runs out. And I do think time is running out. It's not running out for us, it's running out for them, because their corrupted ambitions are going to get the better of them. Maybe not today, maybe not tomorrow, but soon. And you can sense their desperation in the way that everything is moving faster and faster, because they know that they have to try and get their miserable little job done before the time runs out and the clock stops. We've seen in the last 2 years, getting on for 3 years now, as we know, the biggest transfer of wealth from poor to rich that has ever happened in the history of everybody, everywhere, in all of time. They have been more effective in grabbing everything of value in the last 3 years than any other generation of elites has ever managed. It's come because the so-called leaders got drunk on power during the last couple of years, by their own admission, courtesy of the likes of that Professor Neil Ferguson, who did all the disastrously wrong modelling about COVID deaths and all of the rest of it. Amongst other things, he said that they, being the powers that be, they thought they'd never get away with following the Chinese model, shutting everyone in their homes, taking away everybody's rights. They thought the people of the West will not put up with that. But lo and behold,
There she is. Hello, Tiana.
How's it going?
Good, you?
How are you? Sorry, I was literally running across site. I'm like, I gotta make it in time.
That's all good. You're here now, so that's good. Good to see you. So, we'll start again.
Thank you.
It sounds like your connection is better tonight. Oh, hang on. I guess
Yeah,
I
I
have an echo.
actually have a little bit of a Wi-Fi stick going, so that's good.
Very good. I guess there's a bit of an echo, so we'll throw those on. So, Tiana, you are going and getting yourself a little bit viral out there. There, I think that's better.
Yeah, completely by accident. I didn't realize that. I'm actually in TikTok jail right now, and somehow my TikTok is going viral. So I don't know how that works or how the TikTok algorithm works, but here it is.
Well, you're doing phenomenal work, and whatever it is you're doing, keep doing it, because we need more people like you that are raising the flags and raising the alarm on what's happening. So I want to talk a little bit about your experience with what happened with Thorhild and how people can get involved to stop all of this nonsense that's coming at us. So just go to it.
So basically, I didn't realize what was going on in Thorhild. I had somebody basically send me the video, and they're like, oh, look what's going on. Is this involved? Or is this involved in the 15-minute cities? And I immediately realized that something was wrong and that it was part of the 15-minute cities. So I went and did some research on Thorhild, trying to figure out what the land grab was, and that I wasn't, I guess, overreacting in the reaction. So basically, I decided to do a lot of research on the group involved and the land bylaws that were being changed. So I basically went and started calling, made a video. It went viral. People started calling as well. The gentleman from the GSA group got pretty scared. He was definitely scared when I called, because I told him I was an independent journalist and that I wanted to know. And if he lied to me about anything, that I would pretty much find out within a day or two whether he was lying and if he was involved. I asked him if he was involved with the UN, if he was involved with anything else. And you can tell that he started to feel nervous. And then he even said that he would call some of the municipalities and basically retract his projects, because this is not what he was expecting. So after
when you
about,
say,
I
when you
believe
say
it was
GSA,
40,
when you say GSA, what do you mean? Just for those that
the Green
don't
Space
know.
Alliance, basically
Okay.
the guys that had the contract for Thorhild and other municipalities to basically write out the bylaw agreements and to give their recommendations on how to spatialize the land, I guess, that he said that he was doing. So he said he wasn't involved, and I did a bunch of research, and basically that group is only a consulting group. But I mean, everything kind of works with why they are getting what they're getting. And I truly don't believe that the GSA knows that they're actually involved in something a lot more sinister, such as land grabs.
100%.
I kind of noticed by his voice and the way he basically reacted to things that he did not realize what he was in, or the gravity of what he was in.
Yeah. And it's interesting because I've been contacted by a number of RMs that actually want me to come and speak to them so they can understand what's coming their way. And so I think a lot of what we're seeing is this ignorance. And I don't say that pejoratively. It's a fact. There's a lot of people that have no idea what's coming, and they may be caught on their heels and not really understand the depth of what's coming at them. And there's a lot of RMs that are very concerned, and they don't want to make the wrong decision on behalf of the people. So what did you see that they wanted to change in the form of this bylaw? What did you see there?
Well, basically, I saw some really weird things. How many animals you're allowed to have on your land. Now, I can see if Thornhill was closer to Edmonton. I mean, closer to a city, that would make more sense. But if you're out in the middle of nowhere and you have 100 acres, and they're going to start limiting you on the amount of animals that you're allowed to have. Then there was another section that basically stated, shed usage. If you hadn't used a shed for more than 6 months. I mean, just little things like that where I knew it was leaving the door open for the government or environmental officers to come in and basically start bullying farmers and landowners on things that are not, I guess, under law. It's not very clear. It's left open. And so when you leave a huge door open like that with a law or a bylaw, it basically allows for the government to come in and grab whatever they want and to start bullying farmers. So I started to realize that this is a UN tactic. This is definitely the way lawmakers kind of go around legality of things. And that was a huge red flag for me, because the 15-minute cities are exactly that way as well, where they
Right.
tell you you're not going to need a car and that you will be free to go wherever you want. It's, when they said that the vaccine was a choice, but if you made the wrong choice, you had consequences. So it definitely isn't a choice if there's consequences. Choice is a freedom to choose, and therefore there shouldn't be any.
Right. So I'm just going to play a video. You've probably seen it, and then we can get into this discussion.
You're frozen. Oh, there we go.
What is a 15-minute city? It's something that's so convenient. Everything is going to be within 15 minutes of you. You're not going to have to worry about traffic because people won't need a car. And when we say 15 minutes, we mean a 15-minute walk, not a 15-minute drive. We want you to live in an area, a district, where everything that you need is a 1.5-kilometer walk in every direction. What is a
So that guy is apparently, he is an Edmonton city councillor by the name of Andrew Knack, I think. They're telling us that this is what they want out of the people, that they want to force you to not drive and force you to walk and force you and basically say, yeah, everything's within, 1.5 kilometers, so you can just walk. Well, what happens with all the older people that can't haul their groceries 1.5 kilometers? What about the people that are disabled? What about people that have businesses that require them to drive across the city to do whatever it is they do as a business?
Yeah, I don't think the government actually cares or has thought any of this through. And I think we've seen that in 2020. The government isn't very smart, neither are the elites. I think they have the IQ of basically a potato, which is why they would choose someone as Justin Trudeau to basically fulfill their sinister plan. Because anybody with any sort of mind would kind of start seeing, hey, this is a bad idea. And then you need empty vapid people like Justin Trudeau and like certain other people who are involved in the WEF to basically put this forward. However, it backfired on them because they need somebody smart in order for us to trust. And Justin Trudeau and Chrystia Freeland are not that. They basically underestimated our IQ and overestimated Justin Trudeau and anybody who's associated with the WEF. And I understand the tactics that they use within these groups are the exact same tactics that they use within certain cults and occults and also secret societies. It's basically a cult. And what they didn't realize is that we're not part of that cult. We don't want to be part of a cult. And so a lot of people are waking up. So the government doesn't care. They don't care about solutions. People even said, that's not real. What if I have to drive across the town? Well, you're going to lose your job. They won't let you leave. They closed down restaurants in 2020 and 2021. They closed down mom and pop shops, but they left large corporations and conglomerates open, such as Walmart. And so people don't understand that the government doesn't care what your life or what your needs are. They want you in a certain radius, and they will tell you it's by choice. But even in England, they have choices, meaning you need a permit to leave, but no one is showing what this permit actually entails.
Right. Right. 100%. Well, and this is the case, I think, with a lot of their agenda that they want to achieve. A lot of it is, pie in the sky type stuff. They're dedicated to it. They're dedicated to reaching these goals, but it's so completely insane that when it comes time to actually implement a lot of this nonsense, the people are just going to reject it. They're just going to say absolutely not. At least that's the hope. Especially rural folks in Saskatchewan, Manitoba, Alberta. I think, and even in interior BC, I think there's a lot of people that will just absolutely reject this. And we have to stay on top of these things so we can react and we can bring people together to, come together at these RM meetings to shut this stuff down.
Yeah, so for the rural folks, basically they had a separate plan. They would basically take our land slowly through laws that we did not realize were being passed, and through increasing taxes to the point where we can't afford it, to basically corral everybody into these 15-minute cities.
Right. 100%. That's exactly what the agenda is. And so, through taxes, through insurance, through a number of different ways, restrictions in how many animals you have, restrictions on water usage, restrictions on all these things that will, if ever accomplished or implemented, would destroy rural life as we know it and run people into the cities, which is exactly where they want. Because when you have people crammed into cities living in their pods, they're much easier to control and regulate and police and all these other things that they need to do in a police state, in an authoritarian, totalitarian regime that we're headed at 100 miles an hour toward.
Exactly, and that's why I always say, didn't the RCMP all magically skip the vaccine mandate because they said their union said no, but
Right.
everybody else, including the military, had to? Doesn't
Yeah.
anybody kind of ask themselves why is that the case? Maybe it's because they will be used against us when the corralling begins. And so that, I
Right.
mean, that's just my theory. It's definitely, I have no proof of that, but I mean, logically speaking, it just seems a little odd considering they get really intimate with people at times when they're being arrested. It's not like you can keep a 6 foot distance while arresting someone or handcuffing them.
Yeah. Well, and that's the thing is that in a police state, they need the police, right? So
Exactly.
they're able to, sort of forget about those because they're necessary, they're needed in an emergency situation, right?
Yep.
And of course, the climate situation is an emergency. It's a crisis that they keep telling us about, and that's what all of this is. 15-minute cities is to do with climate nonsense.
Exactly. I remember them blaming smokers for some of the forest fires in BC, and I'm wondering
Right.
what smoker wants to hike 14 hours up to top of the mountain and have a smoke. I mean, it just wasn't logical. And in my head, I'm wondering who's going to believe this. But then 2020 came, and I realized a lot of people would believe anything the media tells them. So, and that was scary. that was absolutely frightening to realize how much control the TV has on
Yes.
people. Yeah.
Yes. 100%. But, when they're all saying the same thing and all the media is the same, and all of these media conglomerates have signed, the SDG Media Compact, where they're committed to promoting all aspects and all elements and mechanisms of this agenda, then when it's always the same thing, and whether it's Hollywood, the news, TV, movies, whatever, it doesn't matter. It's always the same message, and it's over and over and over again. And a lot of people have lost their ability to think critically.
Yes, and I think people also don't realize. I didn't realize that people don't understand how the world works, how the economy works, how the government works, and they don't realize that there's only about six owners of all of the media in the world. So if these six owners are then attendees at the WEF and groups such as that, of course, that is the agenda that will be pushed. The news is not unbiased. It is a programming tool for propaganda. I mean, locally, yeah, if a news piece comes out that someone hit a squirrel, I know that is definitely the truth. But when it comes to propaganda, that is the number one tool that they use is MSM, which is mainstream media.
100%. So, what's your take on the UFOs?
Oh, I swear. Oh, the minute I seen that and the minute I seen every media go wild and basically CNN having intel that only the Department of Defense has, in my head, I was a red flag. It was just basically to distract from everything that is happening right now. I mean, the COVID narrative is completely crumbling. It's done. It's done. I can't believe they're even holding on this much. This is just pathetic. Then we have the Epstein list that is supposed to be dropped, the actual list, not just the visitor list that a bunch of that has been circulating around the internet for 2 years, but the actual list. Then we have in Ohio, Palestine, Ohio, there was basically a biological, no, chemical weapon that was dropped. And there's no outrage from any environmental
Right.
groups at all. And
Right.
there's also a lot of rumors around that issue of how it actually started and what's really happening. Then we have Pfizer being sued by the USA courts, and they pretty much implemented the government in the entire scheme. There's just so much going on that needs distracting. And so, of course, let's cue Project Bluebeam. We've got UFO invasion, another invisible, or this time a visible human collective where we can get together under the New World Order, come together and fight these UFOs. I mean, it's just, I can't believe it.
But people are falling for it and they're being distracted by it. I'm seeing it on social media, you know?
Yeah, I think it's basically the people that, I mean, I call them NPCs, non-player characters, and I think that's their only job is to basically push the narrative that is being pushed out in the media. These people not only do not have an internal voice, they can't really talk to themselves, they're very impulsive, and the only thing that they have going for them is basically what the media puts out and the entertainment that is being put out by the media.
100%.
There's no depth to these people, and people, I think everyone needs to understand that if somebody constantly parrots the media and parrots what's in Hollywood, you might want to distance yourself from that person. I don't think they're a complete person upstairs or in here, you know?
100%. Absolutely. Couldn't agree more. So tell me, Tiana, being that you're, where are you? Are you in Fort Mac?
I'm actually in northern BC right now.
Oh, Northern BC. Okay.
Yeah,
All right.
I'm out in the bush. Yeah, I don't even know where to say closest to because it's kind of like dot center northern BC
All right.
in the
Cool.
woods. Yeah.
So how did that Thorhild resolve itself? Do you know?
Basically, they went quiet. Somebody said that we won, and that it was on their city website, and that was it.
Okay.
It just went away completely quiet, and no one said anything. No one said why. It just said that it was completely retracted and they will not come back to it.
So was there a number of people that got involved and sent emails and said, "Well, you're not doing this. You're not changing these bylaws"? Is that sort of
Oh
what
yeah,
happened?
absolutely. My video went viral, and apparently the mayor received so many calls, and now other mayors and other municipalities are just getting nonstop calls. One mayor, I believe in the East Coast, I don't want to say the exact city just because I don't want to get it wrong, but he got a bunch of calls, and he honestly had no idea what was going on.
Right.
He didn't
Right.
even realize what these land grabs bylaws were, and so people are now educating their own mayors and their own council members. So this is how in the dark we are about
Yeah.
all of this.
Oh, 100%. And that's it. And that's why I'm getting calls from RMs that want me to come and speak to them and let them know what's coming, because they don't want to be caught with the pants down, and approving things that they have no business approving, or pushing things that they have no business pushing. But it is up to the people in these rural communities. And I put out a call a couple of times now that people throughout rural Saskatchewan, throughout rural Alberta, Manitoba, BC, you have to watch what's happening at your local RM administration or association, whatever it is, and you have to stay in tune, and you have to understand what's coming, and just be a watchdog. So when the flag needs to go up, you can put it up and rally your community to put an end to this.
Exactly. And just so that everybody knows, there are a lot of arms to the Paris Accord Agreement in the NGO groups and the non-government organizations. It's not just the C40. I'm pretty much
Right.
discovering new groups every single day, and they're popping up almost like wildfires, but they're going down pretty fast. Like the Thorhill thing was in progress since 2015. And all of a
Right.
sudden, all it took was 4 days of angry people, and everybody backed out because I don't think the mayors understand that you're going to have to face us, the people. These big groups that are pushing this, they're not going to be here to protect you.
Right.
So yeah, and I'm getting calls as well to come to Alberta municipality meetings and BC meetings over Zoom. So I'm definitely helping out these communities. I'm going through their
Awesome.
bylaw uses and stuff. So I definitely am getting involved in other communities as well. And I love seeing that other people are getting involved as well. So that's amazing.
Yeah, it is. It is amazing, and and this is going to be the thing, I think, that lights the fire under the people, to show them that getting involved actually matters. It actually works, and do it. And when you do it, you can stop this insanity.
Exactly. I think we were told that, I mean, there's so much propaganda and there's anti-propaganda out there. So people have said, oh, well, voting doesn't work. If it didn't, why would they steal elections in the States and here?
Right.
Why would they have to do shady things like this? I think we were
Right.
told that we don't have the power, and that is the biggest lie, propaganda
Mm.
lie ever told.
It
We
is.
absolutely do have the power, and especially if we stick
100%.
together. Yeah, I mean, we basically, if we stick together and we educate everyone and we put the light on the darkness that they're doing, they will not be able to do anything. And I know a lot of people are saying, well, we need to protest. No, we don't. We need to play the exact same game that they've been playing with us for centuries now. And we need to stay calm, be educated, and very well tactically in
Yes.
a legal manner fight back. And
Yes.
we can actually undo more of what they've done in the last 70 years in probably a year than they could ever imagine if we woke up.
100%. I couldn't agree more. And there's, even within the movement, there's a lot of people that have been black pilled, and black pillars are kind of the bane of my existence. They really frustrate me because they do more damage than good when they're promoting that nothing can be done, everything is lost. And so what? So go lay down by your bowl like a good house dog and lick your nuts. Stay out of my way.
Those are actually agents. Those are called, there's agents that infiltrate every movement. And I've had a bunch of people ask me if I want to join underground movements. And I was like, absolutely not. This is
Right.
where agents hang out. This is where agents will pretty much push extremism, they will push violence, and they will push protests. So everything that is done needs to be done out in the light. We do not need secret
Yes.
societies. We do not need secret groups, because this is the reason that they're losing. And we also can't use secret societies because they use cult-like hypnosis tactics to keep theirs intact. And
100%.
so anyone who is emotionally charged, anyone who constantly says, we need to do something, we need to, no, absolutely not. You need to stay away from those people. This is a very tactful game that we need to be playing with the elites, and it
100%.
needs to be done with knowledge, education, calmness, and also a hope that it will turn out, and it will. I know there's a lot of naysayers. Oh, well, they'll come after you if they want to. No, they won't. They
Right.
can't come after me if I don't let them come after me. If they start getting
Exactly.
physical,
Exactly.
that means they've lost. They've completely lost. And then some people are
Absolutely they
saying, "Oh,
have.
well, they're going to nuke us." No, they're not.
Right.
Like, you think the elites can live in a hole for more than like 3 days without
Right.
having a sandwich made for them? Please. I
Yeah.
mean, they have to
Exactly.
realize that, we're all on this planet together. Yeah.
No, I couldn't agree more. 100%. So I want to get your opinion really quick on Danielle Smith, and why are all these things happening in rural Alberta under her watch? What's your take?
It's not just under her watch. This has all been basically starting in 2015,
Yeah.
14. Basically, the culprit of where to look at is Sohi, the Edmonton mayor, and also the Calgary mayor, which were appointed and not elected. And I find that very odd.
Mm.
Both of them are very left leaning as well. And both of them strike me as, people that were kind of appointed to do something against the people. And so this is years in planning.
Yeah, good point.
With Danielle Smith, I think, I don't know how many months now. Everything is a blur, but I don't know how many months she's been in. But if they take Alberta down, Saskatchewan is next. I don't think people understand just how much Alberta stands its ground with how loud we are. We are loud. We
Well,
had
and
Jason Kenney in, and we threw him out, and he's a conservative. So, like, we
well,
don't care what side you're on. If you're not for the people, you're out.
right, and so obviously, I think one of their tactics is to go after and to start at the strongest province, um,
Mhm.
or the strongest region, at least Alberta and Saskatchewan, and this is where it's going to start. And if they can conquer those two, then the rest will fall in line. So, um, Alberta, and Saskatchewan, you folks are it. And I said this a long time ago that this is going to be dealt with. This is going to be won or lost in Alberta and Saskatchewan, because that's where they have to attack first.
Exactly, and all the other provinces seem to have already kneeled down. BC, I'm sorry to say this, but you guys are done. There's nothing you guys can do. You are
Yeah.
you are UN owned, and you will be
Yep.
paying taxes. They will tax every last breath that you have, and that was all because of your union loving environmentalists. The fact that you did not realize what was going on. Everything's just about virtue signaling. I mean, it's sad to say, because BC is a beautiful province, and I feel sorry for northern BC for actually being
Right.
attached to
Yeah.
the lower end of BC that's making all of the decisions.
100%.
Manitoba, I see their NDP leaning. I, I mean, what's going on there? I don't, with
But
everything that is coming out,
that's Winnipeg. That's Winnipeg has 750,000 people, which is more than 2/3 of the province. So
Exactly.
it's tough. It's tough for the rest of rural Manitoba to come out of that. Even Alberta's tough. I mean, you got Edmonton and Calgary, which is the lion's share of the population. Um, but then you look at Saskatchewan. Saskatchewan still has more than 50% rural to urban split, right? So um, Saskatchewan has a big role to play in all of this.
Yeah, that's honestly, I'm actually, Mo is really impressing with how anti all of this is. And I read an article, and I'm not sure if it's true, but Alberta is willing to basically retract completely outside of the federal agreement that we've had for healthcare for the last 10 years. So apparently we will back out of that agreement. Ford in Ontario, you guys need to get rid of that guy. He is so sold out to WEF. He was boasting how much he loved Chrystia Freeland. That was so creepy. That guy, I don't know what they have on that family for blackmail, but they've got something big, because I am disgusted with the Conservatives in Ontario. I have
Well, they're
no
not
idea
conservative.
what is going on with Ford. He might as well slap on a liberal jacket and call himself Justin Trudeau number
Yeah,
one fanboy. So I mean,
100%.
it's just, yeah.
I mean, even Scott Moe and Danielle Smith concern me to a point that, Danielle Smith used to talk a lot on her radio show about the sustainable development agenda, about Agenda 2030. And now, since she's been premier, she hasn't said a word about it. Scott Moe ignores it, feigns ignorance every time he's asked about it. And that concerns me. And then when we see SOGI being brought into our educational curriculum here in Saskatchewan, that's a huge red flag. So when these people aren't talking about the most important agenda that's so consequential as it is, and they're not talking about it, that concerns me. And I think a lot of the reason why is they're carrying water for the federal Conservatives who are responsible for the agenda being signed onto in this country. So I think that's the tie, and I think that's why they're staying as quiet as they are about it.
So there's definitely some blackmail going behind the scenes, whether the
Oh
conservatives
yeah.
are pro or not. So right now in Alberta, the most important thing is to not get Rachel Notley in. If we get Rachel Notley in, we're done. And this is exactly what I said about Justin Trudeau in 2015. If we get him in, we are done. Because what they actually want to plan next is to completely abolish our ability to vote. So if right now, because so many people are still unaware and asleep, I mean, about any other group, right now, everyone's kind of keeping it safe, liberal, conservative, liberal, and we just keep going back and forth and back and forth. So right now
Always.
with our election in Alberta coming up, it is super important for Notley to lose. That is the main thing. Is Notley has to go, Soji has to go. People need to start smoking these rats out of the province, and then after that, I think we need to start rebuilding and rethinking about the political parties that we have in Canada. But the more people wake up, the easier it will be.
Oh yeah, 100% it is, and that's the task at hand, is to wake people up. So I think politically, I think what we need in both Alberta and Saskatchewan is a number of seats representing the alternative to the establishment. And so the Independence Party of Alberta, we need to get some seats that represent that side of things. And in Saskatchewan, we need the Buffalo Party to get some seats so we can be an effective actual opposition and raise this discussion and raise this agenda as an issue. And that's how we can most effectively educate the rest of the people, is through having a seat and having that voice in the legislature. I think it's incredibly important that we do that.
Yeah, I was also going to say anybody who is not sure who they're going to vote for, because I mean, here in Alberta, people are like, well, we're not sure with NDP, we're not happy with the UCP. Whatever you do, just do not go for the NDP. Go for some of the smaller groups, build those seats, because those groups are owned by us. There's no,
Yes. Yes.
corporation, there's nothing behind that. So those of you who do not understand how the voting system works, or, which party to go for, anyone, literally anyone but the liberals and the NDP. Like,
Yeah.
our life and your kids' lives in the future literally depend on this. I can't stress this enough. And so right now, we just need to gain as many seats of people like us who can make a change, where you can go and write to them, you can call them, and you can tell them, hey, listen, this isn't okay. And with seats in the parliament, we can slowly start taking over these corrupt
100%.
groups.
100%.
But
And
whatever
expose them.
people
And
do, if
expose
you're
them for
not
what
sure,
they are. Yeah.
exactly.
Yeah. 100%.
Exactly. Yeah. And that's why behind the scenes right now, there's all ulterior media that are being formed. I have my website that's up, but nothing is really running, and I will have everything on there, proof. And so if we start pushing our like normal people as each other, and we keep each other's backs, then we can start deciphering the difference, and we can start smoking out these rats internally out, so that they cannot penetrate the way they have into our lives and into our laws as much as they have. So if in Saskatchewan you see Soji in the education system, run. If Edmonton
red
is the
flag.
pilot city for the 15-minute cities, so this man is not for you. He's not some good little liberal, which they have all of these men that are very weak looking, and I think they've done that on purpose to seem weak, gentle. And yeah, how did that work out with Justin Trudeau? I mean,
Right.
look at what he's doing to Canada. He's tanking. He's
Yep.
basically sending us down communist lane.
Right. And he gets labeled with that it's incompetence that this is happening. It has nothing to do with incompetence. It's all by design. They're actively destroying what we have built, and what most people in this country cherish is exactly what they need to destroy in order for them to achieve this agenda.
Exactly. And the minute he came in, I knew we were in for one heck of a fight. With the NDP here in Alberta, they tried to do the Y2Y land grab, which everyone has seemed to have forgotten. She wanted to take a giant chunk even out of BC, and she had the BC NDPs on her side, on the BC border side. So, and I'm looking at the poll numbers for BC, and yeah, they just love their NDPs. They like their socialism. They like their handouts, and unfortunately, it will lead them to prison. And I've always said, you know what, you've made the bed that you've made, and you're going to lay in it. And so, right now, the fight is for Alberta and Saskatchewan to really, really rid of these rats. Because
100%.
if we fall, the rest of the country's already fallen. I mean, the East Coast. They're already implementing the digital ID, because they said the vaccine QR code worked so well that they're bringing in the digital ID. Translation is, you complied so much that they're now going to put in the second portion of the UN plan to basically make a digital prison for New Brunswick, I believe it was. Yeah.
But they've already, those provinces out east on the East Coast, the Maritimes, Quebec, Ontario, they've already been conditioned to count on the federal government for their existence, and so that's why we see what we see. And immigration, extraordinary numbers of immigration to southern Ontario is not helping, because they all vote Liberal. So it's up to us. All right, Tiana, I'm going to have to say goodbye. I have Dallan, my next guest here in the studio. And so I'd love to have you on again. We'll do that again, and we'll talk some more politics next time.
Awesome. Thank you. Sounds great. Thank you for
Awesome.
having me on.
Hey, you bet. Take care.
Take care. Bye-bye.
Bye. All right. So, speaking of Saskatchewan politics, speaking of Scott Moe and the Sask Party, I've always been a big proponent of people. People left to their own devices generally have it figured out a lot better than government bureaucracy ever does. Let the people do what the people are supposed to do, and we'll figure it out. Humanity has this really great ability to adapt, to invent, to build, to create, to solve the problems that we have. My next guest is a really good example of how government, the fist of government, and maybe the boot of government is quelling and hindering that prosperity and creation and ingenuity of the people. And this story is gonna knock your socks off. So my next guest is Dallan. How do I say your last name? Dallan Leger or Leger?
Close, Legier.
Leger? Okay.
You betcha.
How are you, man?
How's
Good to see you.
how's the sound and the volume? Everything's good?
Everything sounds really good. You're bang on.
Perfect.
So do us a favor. Give us the backstory to all of what's been happening with you and your battle with the provincial government here in Saskatchewan.
Well, I'm not originally born and raised here in Saskatchewan. I know
What?
I'm. Wait till I say it. I'm from the east. I'm from Ontario,
That's okay.
and I was born and raised in Kitchener, Ontario. And fast forward a little bit, we moved to a small town, half hour outside of the city, surrounded by dairy farms, and it was an agriculture area. Went to high school, grade 9, met some dairy farmers, and fell in love with agriculture. So that just sets the tone right there. Not a guy that was, but really grew my appreciation and passion for what farmers do and what they provide to us. So I started milking cows on the dream as an Ontario kid is to come out west and experience the vast landscape and the large equipment. And at 19 years old, I jumped in my pickup truck and I landed just outside of Yorkton, Saskatchewan. And that was in 2011. So I've been out west here now for, should be easy, 12 years, 13 years. And came out to work on a farm. That was why I came out, and learned that there was opportunity and there was possibility here in the province at that time. In Ontario, I always said there was 100 people competing for one job, and you came out west, it was the opposite.
Right.
And you just had a chance to prove yourself. And fast forward, I'm giving you quick here just to get you up to the problem at hand, but working on a farm, burning plastic, burning a grain bag. For those of you following that aren't sure what a grain bag is, it's a temporary storage solution for farmers that they'll put their grain in off the combine, whether it's wet conditions or they don't have the storage space or what have you. It gets the grain harvested and ready for market. So you'll see a lot of guys will call them the sausage in the field. They can be anywhere from 200 feet long up to 500 feet long, weighing anywhere from 300 pounds of plastic upwards of 800 pounds of plastic. So there's an incredible amount of plastic per bag. And I was burning it thinking, hey, plastic's recyclable. What can I do to kind of solve this issue here?
Right.
And that was the birth of Ecogenx and my idea, my business.
Okay.
As a farmhand, I knew nothing about plastic other than that it's recyclable and that we're being pushed and well, to be honest, recycling is good in the correct way.
Right.
And I went to Saskatchewan Polytechnic and I said, hey, I've got a problem. Would you help me find a solution for it? Can we recycle this here in Saskatchewan? And what can we do about all this plastic? To give you context, we're talking about 8 million pounds of plastic of just grain bags. Now, we're not talking about your wrap or your twine or your tarps or your chemical jugs, or there's an enormous amount of plastic used on the farm, and it seems like it's a new swear word, plastic, but it's a necessity. And if it's managed correctly, there can be a value in that.
Right.
If we look at fixing the problem here at home.
Right. So you saw a problem, you're in the industry, you recognize the issue, and you thought, this might be an additional revenue stream, partaking in what we would like to think is a free market. And so you went to SAS Polytechnic and asked them if there's something that you can do. And so what did you find out? What did they tell you that you could do with this plastic?
Well, it's very easily recyclable. It's a highly sought after plastic because of the ag industry. It's not a cheap plastic. It's a high grade, heavy film plastic. And there's no need to be exporting this stuff out of country. And a very simple process of shredding, washing, and pelletizing the plastic, we now have created a value-added product that we can market and sell to be remolded into any new plastic product.
Right. Sounds good to me.
Pretty simple.
Right.
Great job. I don't know if you guys will be able to see this, but this bag here is about 10 pounds of plastic pellets. And I went down to Arkansas, where I send my plastic currently, or where I did before I was shut down. And this is a grain bag turned into pellets. It's simple. Revenue stream wise, or profitability of it, it's a heck of a business. We're looking at 60, 70. Plastic is oil. So
Yes.
it's just like grain and like anything else. It goes up and down by price. But
it's a resource.
60, 70, exactly. 80 cents a pound on 8 million pounds of plastic. And we could take that a step further. And this is what really shocked me. And this is where Saskatchewan Polytechnic, they looked at recycling and they looked at, let's step it up a notch. Let's make a product that's more environmentally friendly. Let's take two problems and make a product. So let's take all the fiber, the flax fiber, the hemp fiber, stuff that farmers have an issue with on the farm. Let's collect that. Let's blend it together. Now we've got a plastic that's more environmentally friendly, stronger, lighter, and more durable. And I've got sitting on the dash of my truck 12 patents that are registered with the professor at Saskatchewan Polytechnic to do this. It's all proven. It's all very viable.
And so now let's get into where the stumbling block in all of this is.
So in 28, Saskatchewan enacted a regulation that they call the Agriculture Packaging Product Waste Stewardship Regulation. And what this regulation does is currently it's geared right now to grain bags. And on every grain bag sold in Saskatchewan, the farmer must pay a recycling fee that is mandated by an out-of-province organization called Clean Farms. They're a non-profit organization that sits in a high-rise building in Toronto, pushes papers and say that they're recycling plastic.
Right.
And this program was brought forward and approved by our government that sees $1 million on average, depending on how many bags are sold each year, but $1 million a year that is collected and sent to Clean Farms to manage our plastic problem here in Saskatchewan. So the problem occurred when I said, well, this doesn't make any sense. If I sell plastic and I collect the plastic, it goes to a state-of-the-art recycling facility. Now, this company spent hundreds of millions of dollars to invest in the equipment to take a grain bag and turn it back into a new grain bag. Closed-loop recycling, that's exactly really what the future should be. If we can reuse a product over and over, it's a pretty good win there. So I had that solution in place until I could get funding in order and really prove who I am as a young entrepreneur and eventually work to building the recycling plant here. So I said, I don't need this government mandated program. I want to work with the farmers. I want to make sure that as a company, I'm accountable for the product that I sell.
Right.
So for everything that I sell, I would pick up when the farmer's done with it. And instead of remitting this recycling fee to Clean Farms, I would apply it as a credit to the cost of my service.
Mm-hmm.
Or it brings their bags to me. They've done work. They've done the right thing. He gets the funds. He gets that money back. And the government said, no, we're not interested in that.
So you would give the farmer back some of what they invested in that plastic? by
That's exactly
giving it,
right.
you pay them to bring them for them bringing you their plastic. You would give
Picture
them X
Sarcan.
amount of dollars, whatever. Yeah.
Yeah. Picture the Sarcan model here in Saskatchewan,
Sure.
where you pay a fee, you get it back. That's exactly what I was doing. Because right now, the problem that our government created is they put a price at the point of purchase. But now the farmer still has to invest in the equipment and the manpower and the time and then transport this plastic to a depot site. It's cheaper for the farmer to still burn that plastic
Right.
while Clean Farms collects a paycheck.
Right.
So what I had said right from the beginning, and since this regulation came into effect, 2018, January, I had sent Scott Moe an email in February outlining the problem that this just created. Because I started in 2017. I started before this regulation came into effect.
Right.
And not once did I get a meeting with any MLA or any minister. I almost got a point to a meeting where they came back to me and said, okay, we're going to have a sit down. It's going to be with us, yourself, and Clean Farms. And I agreed to it. And I recorded that meeting. And the whole point of it was compliance. They didn't want to hear anything to what I wanted to do or how I could help the producers of our province. It was, this is what you have to do, and this is what we've approved. And
So how does their decision, the government's decision in all of this, how does that benefit the government? Can you explain that end of things? Like, where's the benefit to them? Because they always want to benefit. They always want more money from us. Is that what it's about?
it's strange because most times the money will go to the government and then the government will hand out a portion to the organization they're working with. It doesn't happen like this. It goes directly to Clean Farms. All the grain bag retailers pay directly to Clean Farms. So the government has no financial involvement really at all in this. What I see is a deeper, call it the conspiracy side, but when you start looking back and you start looking at everything the government's put out to get to this regulation, things weren't done correctly. And when you've got Crop Life Canada, which is a huge national...
I can tell you something, Dallan. Somebody somewhere in this province is benefiting greatly by this agreement. Somebody somewhere is. We just have to find out where and who.
I do agree. Yep.
I guaranteed something's not smelling right.
Yep. Because when they started lobbying for this, it was Scott Moe at that time that was an MLA. And then you look in the consultation process that Clean Farms had done had only included 10 farmers out of the whole province of Saskatchewan. So to me, somebody's pockets are getting lined.
Oh, guaranteed.
And here comes...
So who owns Clean Farms? Do you know that? Do you know that?
No,
have you followed that rabbit hole?
It's a non-profit organization, and their board of directors is Richardson.
So it's an NGO then.
And Crop Life Canada, which is a lobby organization in Ottawa, Clean Farms is them. It actually states online that Clean Farms was spun off into a sister organization of Crop Life Canada. And Crop Life Canada was the lobby firm that lobbied our Saskatchewan government. Conflict of interest much, and I...
Oh, it stinks.
I don't think they ever imagined somebody would come along and want to clean up grain bags. It is a terrible, disgusting, dirty job.
Right.
But there's an opportunity and there's a business and I want to do it.
Right.
And I should have the freedom to do that.
Right.
And because things weren't done right, well, now somebody's kind of stepping up and I hate the word exposing, but shining a light on things that were done incorrectly.
100%. Well, it doesn't sound much of a free market in Saskatchewan with the Saskatchewan government. And you're not the first that has raised some problems with some shady dealings with the Saskatchewan government. I've heard plenty of stories, but this is just another one that we can add to the list. So where are you at now? Are you at all operating as a business or no?
No, I'm completely shut down. if I continued to operate as I was under threat of further fines of $1 million per day. I tried to operate just selling my products and doing things to keep the business going, but I was shackled. I couldn't do what I set out to achieve.
Right.
And the best thing that I decided to do was end it, go back to self-employment, working on the farm, being a rep, doing what I do, and focusing on the fight and telling my story.
Right.
But, you know, when I was handed my summons to appear in court, $1 fine per day that I was non-compliant, and they named me non-compliant for 365 days.
And how much per day?
I want to push my point.
Sorry, how much per day?
Pardon me?
How much per day?
1 million per day.
Holy.
Yeah. And see, the issue with that, or not the issue, but why that is the cause, is the Environment Act is the umbrella act that these regulations fall under. So it doesn't matter if you're a small business like myself or you're a huge company. It's the same fines, it's the same rules and regulations that you have to follow. You know, I collected over 4 million pounds of plastic, and I'm sitting here wondering what my fine is going to be if I'm convicted of that I'm guilty.
So do you think, Dallan, that out of all of that plastic that you've collected, since you've been shut down, do you think farmers are just burning it now?
100%. I was
unbelievable.
I was on a farm just last week, and the farmer is actually an RM counselor. So he's very familiar with what's happening here. They burn their bags. With here, and we're not.
Sorry, we lost you there for a sec.
Yep.
So, oh, what a story, man. I don't know. So you're still embroiled in this court process, are you, or is it over?
15th is my trial date. I had to plead not guilty, and this is going to trial. So March 15th.
And what did they charge you with?
Scheduled non-compliance of a regulation, of the agriculture packaging regulation.
Oh, God, this just
insanity.
It is pure insanity. It makes me want to chew bricks. It's so insane that they've charged you. You have to go appear in court as a respondent because you were actually providing a service to farmers that was actually recycling plastic instead of having farmers burn it. But because it worked outside of the government sphere of influence and corruption with whoever Clean Farms is, the result is that now farmers are burning their bags and you're left facing charges and not being able to run a business. What a complete farce.
Absolutely insane. Yep.
It's unbelievable.
No, and you know, I think what it boils down to is I'm a threat. And this is $1 million that we're talking about a year going into somebody's pocket. And my success eliminates the need for their program. So it wasn't the government that initially came after me, but it was a letter from a lawyer from Clean Farms that I got stating that I'm in non-compliance and that they will be notifying the government. Now, I had been in conversation this whole time with the government, and they knew my stance and my view, so it was no surprise to them. But Clean Farms essentially has our Saskatchewan government as their enforcement police to make sure that I am dealt with and that I am no longer a threat.
Unbelievable.
Yeah.
Hang on a sec. I'm just going to reset here for a second. Just give me one
You
sec.
bet.
You may have to come back in.
Okay. I don't know if you guys can still hear me, but Sylvia, I see your comment there, and March 15th in Yorkton Provincial Court.
All right, I think I'm back. Can you hear me?
Yep. Can you hear me?
Yeah, I got you.
So, and why I really stood my ground, there was one line in the act, and it states that the environment minister can grant an exemption. So that's what I was pushing for all along, was a conversation with our elected officials that are supposed to represent us, the people of Saskatchewan, that, hey, we've got a solution here that can put money back in our farmers' pockets. It can assure that the plastic is collected, because right now there's no assurance. The year that I was charged, Clean Farms' annual report shows a recovery rate of 64%.
Right.
That's a lot of plastic. That's millions of pounds of plastic that's not accounted for, that they're paid for.
Right.
So that's all I was saying. And I wasn't backing down until I had that meeting. And it never came. What came was the CO showing up on my property.
So what does Clean Farms make annually? Do you know?
No, it's funny. I did a podcast here the other day with Acres of Truth, and
Yep.
we were talking about the annual reports of Clean Farms and how nonprofits supposed to be including their financial information, and it's nowhere to be found.
Right.
It can't be found anywhere online. So that's an unknown at this point in time.
Stinks. It stinks even more.
But you look, you do a quick Google search, funding Alberta, Saskatchewan, Manitoba. Alberta Beef gave them $2 million, I believe, 3 years ago. Manitoba government's over $1 million. They're collecting millions of dollars every year.
Off the taxpayers.
And they're pushing for regulation to move that from, well, it's still taxpayer, but funded by the farmer.
Right. So wrong, man. So wrong.
So I share the story. I try to keep positive. When you start a business as an entrepreneur, you want to solve a problem. You don't try to create one. And I don't feel I created a problem here. I just got stuck in one.
Right. You sure did. Yeah, it's terrible, man. It's terrible that you've had to go through this. I can't say that I'm terribly surprised. Government have grubby hands and fingers, and anytime they're involved, it's never good. So hopefully, your court case goes well, and you're not slapped with some sort of stupid fine of any sort, and hopefully common sense and reason rises above, and at some point you'll be able to operate this business. It sounds like it would have been a great business.
Well, millions of pounds of plastic, all corners of Saskatchewan. I was crushing it. We were doing something good. And it wasn't just grain bags. We're, like I said, twine, silage tarps.
Yeah.
We had the opportunity to solve a massive problem. So it's unfortunate. But, it's time for the farmers to speak up now. I'm one voice, and I'm making that stand. And I have farmers call me and share, it was bags last week. I know what you're fighting about. It's very real, but those one-on-one conversations don't do me any good.
Right.
We need
we
need more than that. So, and it's tough to rally the voices, as you fully understand. So
yeah, it is. But I hopefully this will help get it into a little bit more people's discussion and talking, and maybe it'll bubble up a little bit and put a little bit more attention on who's your MLA there. Do you know?
Greg Ottenbright in Yorkton.
Okay. All right.
So
Wow.
I was Terry Dennis before, because when I started the business, I was in Kenora, and it was actually the year prior that I was charged. I moved out to 40-acre property and had all the buildings ready to begin. So I don't know Greg that well. He hasn't done anything for me.
No.
And Terry did nothing either. So, Warren
So-
Kading, when he was the Minister of Environment, he lives half an hour up the road from me.
How much did how much did you invest into this business, if you don't mind me asking?
At the very beginning, $10,000, and everything I made through it, I invested back into it.
Back in, yeah.
But it was difficult now. We're 40-acre property with a chicken farm and shop, and
Yeah.
it was a substantial amount of money. And now with no income, no business income, it's tough.
Yeah, man.
So, but
Well,
we chug away.
keep your chin up and keep me posted. I'd like to bring you on after March 15th to see how that all went, and if we can continue to help put some pressure on this farce of a government that we have. I'll do what I can.
Great on, sir. I appreciate it, and thank you very
man.
much for having me on to share my story. So,
Yeah, man. Absolutely, it's well overdue. We'll stay in touch. Thanks, man.
for sure. Thank you.
All right, you bet. All right. Well, what can you say? I'm not. I can't say I'm surprised. Government is government. It always is. It's always a huge disappointment to the people. They don't represent the people. We don't live in free market capitalism. We live in fascism. And people need to understand this. There's way too many private-public partnerships going on between our governments, NGOs, and nonprofits. And it's all corrupt. And it needs to stop. All of this stuff needs to stop. It's corrupt to the core. And we need to replace these people. We need to get them out of office before they destroy everything. None of what we're seeing is free market capitalism. I want everyone to understand this, that we've moved decades ago from free market capitalism, which is what it should be. Let the market, let the people determine what works and what doesn't. Government, keep your fucking hands off our shit. Sorry for the swearing, but it's righteous anger. Government needs to keep their fingers out of our business. All of it. The only reason they regulate to the hilt is because they're corrupt. Because somebody is making a shitload of money on the back end. And this stuff needs to stop. And the only way it's going to stop is when we all wake up to it, put the responsibility where it belongs on our politicians, the establishment politicians that are fully corrupt and selling us down the river. All of this is globalism. All of it. This whole fascist approach to everything is globalism. I guarantee you, when I look up this Clean Farms group, guaranteed they're going to be connected to the UN. I guarantee it. I guarantee it. There's going to be a connection there, 100%. It's another in a long line of organizations that are taking money from Saskatchewan taxpayers through the government, through corruption, and filling and redistributing wealth somewhere else. I guarantee it. Guarantee it. This all needs to stop. We have to go back to the people. Back to a government that represents the best interest of the people of the province. Can you imagine? Can you imagine this young fella comes up with a great idea, something that's needed, instead of farmers burning plastic? He comes up with a solution, right? And he's making some money off it. It's a profitable business. contributing to his community, hiring people to help run this business, supporting his community, solving a problem through ingenuity and networking, the way it's supposed to work. And this kid is completely dismantled because the government has some sort of a backroom deal with some organization I guarantee you is attached to the UN. I guarantee it. Can you imagine? This is where we are. Scott Moe, resign tomorrow. And the rest of you, you might as well just give up. I won't rest until you're gone. I won't rest until every riding in this province, especially rural Saskatchewan, has replaced whoever's sitting there right now. I won't rest until that's done. We have to do this, people. We have to. It just burns my ass. But it's just another example. It's just another example of the corruption and government sticking their fingers where it doesn't belong and hurting. And now the farmers are just burning their plastic. Right? Now they're just burning their plastic because there isn't a better option. And the people of Saskatchewan are paying $1 million to clean farms. To do what? To do what? People are still burning their plastic. It's so insane. It's so insane. And guaranteed people are getting their bank accounts padded somewhere on the side. I guarantee it. The corruption is just... We have to get rid of them. That's it. There's no other option. We have to get rid of all of these establishment parties. All of them. Across the board. And we have to do that. We have to do that. We have to engage. We have to take back our responsibility. Stop these people from what they're doing. They're destroying everything that we've built. Everything that our ancestors built and struggled and broke their back building. They're destroying it. They're destroying it. And we're letting them. We have to stop this. We have to stop this at all costs. Yeah, right. Exactly. Yeah, of course he did. Well, it is hilarious. It's just so insane. Yeah, 100%. No, of course they won't. Are you kidding? They're not gonna. The politicians? Of course not. They're not going to. Of course they won't. They're still going to be eating steak 3 times a week. They're going to be eating beef and chicken and pork and all the good stuff while we're eating bugs. We're slaves. They're destroying the middle class. That's what this is all about. Destroy the middle class. Go back to feudalism where you have the top and then you have the people at the bottom. The serfs, the slaves. That's what they're going back to. Because they need the dictatorship to dictate the terms of everybody's life. While depopulation is at work and at play. The destruction of the industrialized world. The destruction of Western civilization. The destruction of our freedoms, our liberties, our rights. Our sovereignty, our prosperity, and the truth is all at the altar of globalism. Sacrificed. Because they need to. They need to destroy it all. Can you imagine? I can't imagine for the life of me if I was at the legislature, how my hair would be on fire, how I'd be screaming at the top of my lungs every day in that place regarding just this issue with this guy who built a fantastic business. Recycling plastic, turning it into pellets so they can make more plastic. and save the taxpayers a shitload of money. It's mind-boggling. But we've allowed it to get to where it is because of our inaction and our abdication of responsibility. It is what it is. All right. Anyways, that's a wrap. Mark, one more thing I wonder about is the demarcation point. Where's the line between the haves and have-nots? How many of these numpties think they will be in the chosen class? Yeah, a lot of them do. Of course, a lot of them do. Yeah, 100%. Anyway, that's enough for tonight. Just crazy. Just crazy. I'm glad we had Dallan on, and I'm glad that we had Tajana on. It was a good show tonight. Anyways, share it out, guys. Love each and every one of you. And keep fighting. Keep fighting. Keep spreading the message. Keep informing and educating as many people along the way as you can. Help by sharing out these videos and getting eyeballs and ears and minds on some of the things that we're talking about. It's important. We're the only ones that can do this. All right. Ciao for now. Remember, globalism bad, nationalism good. Ciao.
One day, one day, one day, I hope you see the truth. This puppet show stays on because of you fools. We've been dancing with the devil way too long. I know it's fun, but get ready to pay your dues. Oh God, come back home. This crazy world is filled with liars and abusers. We need you now before we're too far gone. I hope one day they finally see the truth. God, we need you now.